Hello, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be talking about the fact that a lot of things have changed lately in my career, and I think it's time to say thank you to the people who need thanking, but crucially to reflect on what my career has been and what it is now, and try and find what went right so that maybe, just maybe, you can follow in the same footsteps. Let's try and figure this out together and roll the VT. Hello, my name is Patrick. I am a chartered accountant, a certified UK trainer with a fancy new logo, that QuickBooks Chap on the internet, head of accounts here at Boffix, and also your friendly podcast who goes live each and every Monday morning with Ask the Accountant. So, Accountex has been and gone. And this Accountex 2024, was probably an epiphany and the realization of where my career has gone. And sometimes in these sort of moments, you don't get the chance to really think about it. And sometimes you almost take it for granted, but I'm not taking this for granted. You see, Accountex 2024 was an opportunity for me to just do what I love doing, which is giving back to the community. And it feels strange, right? Because Accountex 2024 was me doing podcasts. It was an opportunity for me to go out there and talk to individuals in the accounting industry. When we set Ask the Accountant up as me and Johan, we really did want to go out there and create a podcast that would hopefully be a pillar of the accounting industry. That was the idea, to have a place where we had an opportunity to each and every Monday morning, we could talk about things that are going on in the world. We can talk about the accounting industry. We could have an opportunity to talk about what's right or wrong in the software industry. Try and bring our aspects to what went right or wrong in that week to try and give some opportunity to bring some conversations to the table. But what soon became apparent was it was not about us. Like, yeah, me and Johan can talk for days and we can talk for hours and you stick a camera on and we'll just keep yabbling on. But actually, it was about the community. It was about each and every person who was turning up every single Monday morning and still do, and about what their issues were, what their comments were coming through as, what they're finding problems. That was the secret, that until we started pressing play and actually pressing record and started doing our podcast, we didn't realize was so important. And as we started doing all these other projects, like we have cool friends and we go to cool places and all of those things like the grid walk and everything of all the conferences where we look at each conference and show you the behind the scenes. It wasn't until we had the opportunity to do podcast pit stops, which we really started to show how important the community was. You see, at the very beginning of podcast pit stops, we were talking about, well, we'll talk to all these great vendors. And yes, we've had some amazing vendors. In the last Accountex, we spoke to Chris Downing all about AI, and it's one of my favorite pieces of content we've ever done. Johan and Chris talk about AI in a really, really clever way. We have an opportunity to try and make AI relatable to all of us and try and demystify all of the scariness and concentrate on all the goodness. And I love it. I think it's amazing. But when I think about it, my favorite parts about podcast pit stops was talking to you guys, talking to the community, like finding out why you love coming to these events. And we've had so many great guests on there, but it's talking to each and every one of you guys that really pushes it in terms of what it's all about. That was that epiphany moment for us when we were deciding between me, Jan and Lizzie, that actually, this is what we're doing. We're giving you guys an opportunity to have your Kodak moment. So instead of having that photo that you can take away with you or having a LinkedIn profile picture or something, no, we're giving you and having the opportunity to sit down with you and understand with you so that that piece of content can live forever in YouTube, Facebook, wherever it's going to be. And it got me thinking, how did we get to this place? And that is what this video is all about. This video is the realization of how we got to where we got to. And it'd be great if every one of you can realize the same. You see, I didn't realize that this is where I wanted my career to be. When I first started out as an accountant, quite straightforward. You had options, right? You start off as a junior, you work your way up, you keep going. Maybe one day you become a partner. That was my career aspirations from day dot. Great. But actually, when I moved out of the corporate world, stopped worrying about promotions and all that sort of stuff and started thinking about building my own practice and how Boffix could become something a bit different, a bit of a disruptor, trying to be something a little bit unique. That's when I had the opportunity to start really thinking about what it is I wanted to achieve out of my career. Because as I was growing Boffix and I was making Boffix what it is today, I then had the opportunity to think about, well, what does my brand and my personal aspirations look like? And that's where I had the opportunity to go, you know what? I want to be involved in those conversations of shaping accountancy. I want to be in those conversations of trying to change the way that our softwares work for us. I want to be in the conversation of trying to change the way that clients interact with their accountants. And if I'd have just kind of sat in my own little bubble, I never had that opportunity. But what I had the opportunity to do was build my personal brand. And it's my personal brand, the QuickBooks Chap, that's got me where I am today. If it wasn't for that personal brand, I wouldn't have had a real need to properly go down to Accountex a couple of years back and really go out there with the intention of trying to build a podcast, or the intention of trying to find new ways in which we can make the most out of these conferences. I'd have just gone down there with the intention of just trying to find what software was right for Boffix, to keep in its own little bubble and not really worry about anything else from there. Probably build some better relationship with my vendors, but really that's all I was getting out of it. But my intention a few years back at Accountex was to go there and try and build a network that I knew would be able to help me figure out how to take my personal brand to the next level. And that's where Ask the Accountant was born. Ask the Accountant was in a pub talking with Johan about, well, how do we go into the industry a little bit more? How do we do more things? And if it wasn't for Ask the Accountant being born there and then we wouldn't be able to sit where we are now on a podcast all day at the Accountex itself, talking to the likes of you. But it all came from that personal branding. I had my QuickBooks Chap and I was growing that, but that QuickBooks Chap was still in its own little bubble. The bubble was QuickBooks users. How do you get out of that bubble? Well, you look at other ways. And the other ways we looked at was Ask the Accountant. And it didn't come by chance. Me and Johan spent the time going through and making sure that each and every Monday morning we went live. And each and every Monday morning we had new topics. And each and every Monday morning we had something to talk about. That's what gave us the opportunity to build a network, to build opportunity to be better acquainted with the vendors. If anything, the vendors want to be on our side so that if they've released a bad product, we can at least put it in the best light as possible. Or if the vendors aren't on our side and they release a bad product, we have no defense for them and we'll tell it how it is. And I feel like that's the key. We're building this network and we're building a community with likes of you. But if we look back to the last Accountex, we thought, and we said at the time, it doesn't get any better than this. We were pretty much mainstaying on the QuickBooks stand and being able to talk on there. And then we had our opportunity to talk at Accountex for Ask the Accountant. And that was amazing, having so many people in front of us talking about AI, talking about the way to build your business. We talked about so much stuff on that day. And we left that going, this is the pinnacle of where it is. But actually, what did we know? Within 24 months from that day, we went to Accountex Manchester and we ran our first podcast, which was a great learning experience. Then we went to FAB and we learned how to do it again, but on a bit bigger scale over 2 days. And all of that was all of the training we needed to make sure that when we went to Accountex 2024, we were able to sit down and produce some of the best contents of our lives. But it didn't come by chance. The reason we were able to do that, the reason we were given that opportunity, was because we built up the relationships before. We built our personal brands. Me and Johan had spent time and time trying to make sure that we had the right contacts and we knew who to talk to make these things happen. And when I look back on what's happened and what I look back on that last conference, it was brilliant. We were able to do our grid walk where people were actually waiting for us. They knew we were coming, they knew we were up there, and they were waiting to play a little song for us like Ashley Leeds did. We had an opportunity to go and see some of the behind the scenes, and we were invited to see some of the behind the scenes because they knew that that was an opportunity to be able to showcase their great set that they had. Vendors were waiting for us to come to them for the grid walk, and the grid walk at that point was only 12 months old. But this year also saw some of the really cool moments that can happen when you start building up this network. So my keyest moments from Accountex was the fact that Carl Reeder, one of the absolute goats of our industry, actually came up to me to talk to me about how I was. And I asked him how he was. Had nothing to do with the accountancy world, had nothing to do with anything else. It was on a personal to personal chat. And that only comes because we were able to build up those networks, being able to understand what influence we could have on the industry. And it makes sense now that it's not about the accounting side, it's about those personal relationships and about how building those up. One of my most impactful parts of the whole of the conversation, of the whole of Accountex 2024 this year, was someone came up to me and said that the videos that I was producing was helping them get through AAT. And that is the whole reason I do it. So, to all of the friends we've made during this process, to all of the community we've created during this process, to everyone that's ever watched or seen or looked at any of our social posts or videos or anything of the content we do, we couldn't thank you enough. This whole process, this whole journey is because people want to listen to us. And the fact that people want to listen to us and want to consume our content means the world to us. So, how has accountancy changed my life? Well, it's gone from being a career, which I had a ladder and an opportunity and a chance to prove myself, to actually a whole way of life, to an opportunity for me to get involved in a community, to an opportunity for me to be at the center of change and an opportunity to be part of the new cycle. There are people out there doing far more work than we are, but we're part of that cog. We're part of that chain. We're part of that opportunity. And the scary thing is, and the realization is, that everyone needs to be part of this cog. If we want to make accountancy be what it should be, and bookkeeping and business advisory be what it should be, then we all need to keep working. We can't kind of rely on others. We can't rely on the bodies, professional bodies. We can't rely on the government and MTD. We can't rely on anything else happening. Unfortunately, each and every one of us need to make the change. We sit here and we say that we've not got enough people in the industry and we've got a talent shortage, and we are completely right. But we are the ones who make the change of that. We need to be shouting on our social networks to the people who are listening and telling them how much we love our profession. We need to be the ones that are going there telling everyone that it's up to us to make a difference. And all of the great accounting conferences are there to do that, to amplify the messages, to amplify our chance to talk about this. But the real work happens outside the conferences. The real work happens on a day-to-day. The real work is us doing what we're already doing, but we need to do it more consistently, more passionately, more louder, because we need to show people, show the world that actually accountancy is a fantastic profession to be in. Because accountancy has brought to me all of my aspirations and it's given me all of my opportunities, but it can do so much more. And I feel like that's what we've got to take away from this. We're on the precipice of changing the way that accountancy is, making it more accessible, making it more enjoyable, making it something that more people want to be a part of. But we all need to do our bit to shout about it. So here I am, shouting about how much I love the world of accountancy, love all the friends, love all the people I've met, love all of the opportunities I've been given of talking on stages, of doing a podcast, of doing a grid walk, of doing videos, of doing webinars, of all of that sort of stuff. I do it because I love the world of accountancy. I love what accountancy can do. And if you're listening to this, then you love it too. So my advice to anyone out there who are looking to maybe rekindle their love of accountancy or want to love accountancy even more, then shout about it. And that will help you find the right network for you. There are communities out there like Ask the Accountant that are there to help people make the most out of their profession that they love. So my name's been Patrick. Hopefully this video has been insightful. Hopefully this video deserves a like, and let me know in the comments below how much you love accountancy. Just put a love heart, and that's all we need. My name's been Patrick. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.